So yesterday we did the part 1. The part 1 only had like the translations left to right, and then we also had like an x-axis reflection. Today for the part 2, we're gonna make it a little more complicated. We're gonna be looking at like the vertical stretches. We're not gonna be looking at the compressions just because our scale is so small, like a 1. If I do half, then it's going to be like super tiny. So we're not going to do compressions. We're only going to focus on stretches for the part 2. So go ahead and copy the example for today, the first example. G of x is equal to -2 over x. And as a reminder, our function is g of x equals the a value in the numerator over x minus h in the denominator and a plus k at the end after the fraction. So if we look at our function, I have an a value. What's my a value here? -2. So this time, our a value tells you two things. It tells us two things because of the negative and because of the 2. That means two different things. So let's see if you guys remember what that means. Go ahead and righties tell your partner, what are the two things that A is telling us? And if righties don't know, then lefties, you guys can talk together. Figure it out. There's two things that A tells us. Okay? All right. Volunteer to tell us what two things A tells us. Anybody? Alexa, thank you.
It'd be a reflection and a stretch.
Good. So this is going to be an x-axis reflection. And it's also a vertical stretch by 2. All right, then my h value, if I look in the denominator next to the x, I don't have anything next to the x, so that tells me h is 0. And at the end of the fraction, there's nothing there, so that's also k equals 0. So I don't go left, right, up, or down. H and k aren't going to do anything to the graph today. Or in this example, I should say. So my vertical and horizontal asymptotes, if you remember, the equation for the vertical is x equals h. So in this case, my h is 0. And then the horizontal is the y equals k. So I got y equals 0 this time. So just like we did yesterday, I want you to grab your ruler, and then you're going to draw the two dashed lines. In this case, your two dashed lines are just going to be going through the x and y axis. So the horizontal one is going to be on top of the x-axis, and the vertical is going to be on top of the y-axis. So if you just use pencil, it's going to be kind of hard to see it because it's going to be on the axes. So if you have a different color pencil, different color pen, you could use highlighters to make it stand out so you can see it. All right, so my two coordinate points that I have are 1, 1. Whoops, I don't know what I just did. My two coordinate points I have are 1, 1 and -1, -1. So I'm not going to do H or K, left, right, up, or down. The only thing I'm going to do is the part A. So part A tells you, shouldn't say part A, but our parameter A tells you x-axis reflection and a vertical stretch by 2. That order doesn't really matter, but I like to first double the distance first. double the distance, and then you flip across x-axis. The other way you can do it is just take your y value and just multiply by a. So if you take this y value, multiply by -2, that also does the whole, like, it does both things together, so you don't have to try to think about what to do to the graph. So I'm starting at 1, 1. If I double the distance, this distance is 1. So if I double it, it goes to 2. And then I have to flip it over the x-axis, so then it goes to -2. Okay? The other way you can do it, like I said, is take the y value of 1, multiply by -2. That's going to give you -2. So that'll still bring you to 1, -2. If it confuses you to like double the distance then flip it, the other way you can do it is just take the y values and multiply by a. Okay, so if I do the same thing with -1, -1, double the distance, that's the distance of -1, so double it to -2, and then flip it across the x-axis to +2. So it should be at -1, +2. Or again, you can take the y value and multiply by -2. So -1 times -2. Negative times negative is a positive. So I can get to -1, +2 either way. Whatever makes more sense to you guys, you can do it that way. Okay? So I'm going to then draw my curve. Remember, you do next to the asymptote. So next to the asymptote, touch the point, and then end next to the other asymptote. Okay, so this one was just a stretch and a reflection. It'll get a little more complicated. We'll have to like stretch it, reflect it, and then translate it. So we'll just go from there. Okay, I don't see anybody still writing this down, so let's go ahead and look at the next example. We have g of x is equal to 4 times x plus 2. Sorry, not times, but over x plus 2. All right, lefties, go ahead and tell your partner what are A, H, and K, and what do each of those mean? What do we do to the graph? All right, what's my A value? 4, which means what? Good. Well, it's positive. It's positive, so we don't have a reflection. It's just a vertical stretch by 4. And then my H value is what? -2. Good. Don't forget to switch the sign. And so does that mean left, right, up, or down? Left. This means left 2 units. And then my K value is just 0. So that's not going to do anything up or down. So for my two asymptotes, I got x equals h. So my h value is -2. And y equals k. But my k value is 0. So I'm going to go on the x-axis. You go to -2. And you're going to draw the vertical asymptote going top to bottom using your ruler. And then you're going to go on the y-axis, go to 0. And you're going to put the horizontal line going to 0. All right, so vertical at -2. the horizontal at 0. All right, then my two coordinate points are 1, 1, negative 1, negative 1. And then I'm going to take those two coordinate points. This time I have an A and an H. So remember, you always want to do the A value first. So first, do whatever A is telling you to do. So it's a vertical stretch by 4. That means you're going to take the distance and you're going to multiply that by 4. Take the distance, multiply by 4. And then you're going to go left 2. Okay, so the coordinate point is at 1, 1. I have it here at 1, 1. This distance is 1, so I'm going to multiply 1 times 4. That'll bring me out to positive 4. I don't flip it because it's not a reflection. All I do now is go left 2. So 1, 2. And we're left at negative 1, positive 5. Okay, go ahead and try moving this negative 1, negative 1. Multiply the distance by 4 and go left 2 and see where you end up at. Find the coordinate point that you end up at. So negative 1, negative 1. Multiply the distance by 4. And then go to the left 2 and see what you get for your coordinate point. Okay, and then check with your partner. Righties, where did you end up at? What coordinate point?
Because it's negative 1, negative 1. You multiply it by 4, so it should be negative 1, negative 5, and you get 2.
All right, let's see what you guys get. So tell me your coordinate point. I'll call different people and then we'll see what you get. Fatima?
I'm actually confused.
It's okay. Just what coordinate point did you get?
I got negative 1, 4.
Okay, thank you. All right. Carlos, where did you end up at? What's your coordinate point? Like you didn't even know how to get to it? Okay. Alondra's not here. Lupita, where did you end up at? Negative 3, negative 5? Okay. And Haley, you got that one too? Okay. Anybody else get something different? Anybody? Huh?
I thought we were talking about the other one.
No, yeah, the other one. The one that goes on this side.
Oh, no, I was talking about the one that was talking about the other one.
That one? Okay. Oh, did I put it in the wrong spot? 1. Yeah, I think I put it in the wrong spot. My bad. It's 1, 1. Take the distance times 4. Goes to 4. Yes, I did that wrong. Sorry. This one, I put the dot on the wrong spot. That should be 1, 4. Sorry, guys. I didn't know that that's what you were trying to tell me. Yes, this should actually be negative 3, negative 4. Sorry if I confused you guys. I put the dot on the wrong spot. So yes, negative 1, negative 1. You take the distance, multiply by 4. So negative 1 times 4 gives you to negative 4. And then you go to the left 1, 2. So you should have been at negative 3, negative 4. Sorry, that was my bad. I just put the dot on the wrong spot, so that's probably why you guys were getting confused. So we're gonna go next to the asymptote, curve towards the other asymptote, but make sure you pass through the dot. And then likewise with this one. Something you guys should notice though, if you look at the two asymptotes and the dot, they should be the same distance on both sides. So if you notice from the asymptote to the dot, it's a distance of 4. So from the asymptote to the dot, you should still have a distance of 4 there, okay? So that's a way to double check your answer. It should be even on both sides of the asymptote.
That's why I was confused.
Yeah, sorry about that. Okay, this one is a practice problem, so go ahead and try this one. G of x is equal to 3 over x. Okay, so double check what you got, but again, the distance was 3, so you should have the distance of 3 here and a distance of 3. So the distance from the asymptote should always be the same on both sides. So if that dot is 3 units away from the asymptote, it should be 3 units away on the other side as well. And then again, way to check, these should always be across from each other. If you end up with something on this side like this, that should give you a clue that you did something wrong. Those should not be next to each other. They should always be across from each other, okay? All right, so let's look now at this next example. It's going to start to get a little bit more difficult, but we're going to have a lot going on here. So we got g of x equals negative 4 over x minus 3. Negative 4 over x minus 3. All right, so go ahead and talk to your partner. What are A, H, and K here, and what are each of those going to tell you to do to the graph? All right, so again, we're going to do an x-axis reflection and a vertical stretch by 4. H doesn't tell you to do anything, and then our K is negative 3, so we're going to go down 3. So for our asymptotes, we got x equals h, and h is 0. And the horizontal is y equals k, so y is negative 3. So go ahead and take your ruler and draw your asymptotes if you haven't done so already. At the x-axis, look for the value of 0. And then you're going to draw your line vertically, so top to bottom, going through the 0. And then I'm going to take my y value of negative 3. So on the y-axis, I have to go through the negative 3. So my equation, y equals negative 3, and x is equal to 0. All right, so for my coordinate points again, I got 1, 1, and negative 1, negative 1. So what do I do to those two coordinate points? Remember, you always want to do the A first. Do the part A first. So our A value first tells you to take your distance and multiply it by 4. And then you're going to flip across the x-axis. And then for step 2, then you move it down 3. Okay, so first do the A's and then you do the H's and K's. Okay, so take the coordinate point 1, 1, 1, 1. Take the distance and multiply by 4. So 1 times 4 gives you 4. And then I go, across the x-axis was a positive 4. It's going to move down to negative 4. And then from the -4, I go down 3 units. So 1, 2, 3. You should end up at 1, -7. All right, so likewise, we're going to do -1, -1. Take the distance of -1, multiply it by 4. That'll give you a distance of -4. And then we have to flip it across the x-axis. So -4 is going to switch to +4. And then you go down 3. So 1, 2, 3. You should end up at -1, 1. And then double check the distance from the asymptotes. So from this line to the dot, I have a distance of 1, 2, 3, 4. And from this dot is a distance of 1, 2, 3, 4. So this should always be the same on both sides, and they should be diagonal from each other, okay? So then grab your pencil, and then you're going to draw the curve next to the asymptotes going through the point. So again, anytime you have an A value and H's in case, you want to make sure you do the A's first and then the H's in case. All right, so go ahead now and try this one. This can be our last example for today. This is a practice problem. G of x equals -3 over x plus 1 plus 4. So this one has like everything. It has a reflection, it has a stretch, and you go to the left and you go up. So there's a lot going on this one. So be super, super careful. All right, so just to check in with you guys, the A value should have been -3. So you get a reflection and a stretch by 3. So you're going to go to 1, 1. You're going to take the distance and triple it to +3. Then you flip it over to -3. And then from there, you go to the left 1 time and then up 4. So 1, 2, 3, 4. You should end up at 0, 1, correct? Did you guys get there? 0, 1. Where did you guys end up on for the other one? Anybody have the coordinate point?
Are we on the right side or the left side?
The left side, yeah.
I got -2, 7.
-2, 7. Did you guys all get that? Yes? No? Maybe so? So -1, -1. Triple it to -3. Then flip it to +3. And then we go to the left 1 and then up 1, 2, 3, 4. So good. You end up at -2, 7. So then go ahead and draw the curve. So next to the asymptote, hit the dot and then end next to the other asymptote. Same with this one. Start at the asymptote, go to the dot, and end next to the other one. All right, so that is the end of the lesson for today. That one kind of goes over everything. So for your homework, you guys have the 2 homework assignments now. You got the 4-2 part 1, which you did yesterday. And then now we're going to do 4-2 part 2. So you guys have about like 5 minutes before I have you clean up. You can do maybe 1 or 2 problems and then we'll clean up after. Okay?